Cynthia, we'll go live on this and we'll do it. And as people show up, we'll add them into the room, but then we'll be recording it as well, and we'll send it out separately in the recording. Okay.
You sure? Okay. Wonderful.
Okay, so just give them just a few more minutes here.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and get started, and we will record this and we will send it out. We might have had a snafu on the actual email, so we're just double checking. That's why we did that, and we are live on YouTube now. So I want to start welcoming everybody here to GovDirections today, and I want to thank you for tuning in live on YouTube as well as to the recording on Zoom for those here on Zoom. And we did have a large group indicating that they were going to be in the meeting. So we're going to go ahead and start the session, and then we'll send that out to them a little bit later. But I wanted to welcome Cynthia Harper. Dr. Harper is a favorite of ours, and she, of course, is an expert in all matters related to government contracting, specifically in helping you get certified. That's one area that she works with her customers, but in her clients, but also, of course, with capability statements and getting those written up, and how important that is, explaining to our members how important that is. So I want to welcome you here, Cynthia. It's been a while since you've been with us, but we certainly are one of our favorite speakers. And this session here is highly attended and watched. And of course, it's a holiday weekend. How's your holiday going so far? How's Christmas?
It is going well. It is going well. Like, we experienced a little fall last week, so I was like, yay.
Yeah, and here we're both in Atlanta, so it's cold here in Atlanta today. So
and now it's cold today, but last week it was like, okay, but that's all good. I'm enjoying whatever it is. I roll with the punches, Mark.
Yeah, that's how we have to roll here too. It's always exciting to see you. So what I'd like to do is just turn it over to you, and we're going to talk about capability statements and how important they are. And they have become more and more important as disaster spending from the tornadoes there in Kentucky, as well as the continued fire situation in the West, and always being ready to go. So here it is. You've got your screen up already, and I'll hush up and let you get started.
Well, I don't want you to hush up. I want you to team up, and let me tell you why. You mentioned what I was going to mention with all of the disasters and everything that's taken place, and even some of the new spending for Buy Back Better, the money that's been allocated for government contracts. It's going to cause for us to update our capability statements, and as the old saying go, not get ready, but to be ready. Because I believe that a lot of partners will be looking for people to come in and do business with them. So this is a perfect time, my friends, to get ready for capability statements, to get ready to do business in the government arena. And so you ask yourself, what is a capability statement? And really the name sells itself, capability. What are you capable of? What is your company capable of? And certainly we know that a capability is a factual presentation of your company. And you can read for yourself what it talks about being a one-pager document and all the business competencies that it requires. But it's a factual, representation of your company. What is it that you offer, and how do you offer it? It focuses on the need of the agency. There are so many government agencies, so you want to make sure that as you are courting agencies, your capability statement focuses on their need. It provides real solutions. As a contracting officer or KO or program manager, you need solutions to be fulfilled. And so they don't have time for a lot of fancy stuff. What they need to be able to do is look at your capability statement and say, yes, this is exactly what we're looking for. It's a short company bio, as well as it's a resume for your business. It's your living document. It's a part of your digital footprint. And so we can't, as Mark said, with the disaster spending, with everything that's going on, we cannot hesitate at this point to have a surefire capability statement to present to KOs, PMOs, to COs, and everybody involved that's dealing with capability statements. Let me tell you what it's not. I think sometimes we're so used to having large convoluted processes, and because the government does require paperwork, and it is oftentimes a hurry up and wait, this is not what a capability statement is. It's not a convoluted document. It's not a brochure. It's not a 10-page fancy synopsis of all the things that you've done. It is the things that you've done, but it's narrowed. So you see all this pretty stuff up here? And I hope you see it well. This is exactly not what a capability statement is. Though those are nice, this is not what the government uses to choose their players. It's not even a PowerPoint presentation, though the government uses PowerPoint presentations for capability reviews and for when you're going in to share what you do. But the first thing you do is create a one-pager so that you will fit right into the criteria with all the information that they have on it. And it's not a one-size-fit-all. Remember that. Remember that. So you ask yourself, why would I need a capability statement? Well, I'm certain most of us realize since 2020, many people have entered the market in terms of providing services for the government. And so why would you need a capability statement? Well, they want to make sure that you understand the language and that you're knowledgeable of what they're looking for. And so everything is narrowed down for a pinpoint precision, quick look and view for a capability statement. You need to be able to, on the capability statement, it's used for marketing for your company, for the government buyers. You need to have it structured, and it needs to look very precise. And it really looks good when the coloring and everything there matches the logo and all the data is in the right place. And it speaks procurement languages. Procurement languages are like IT engineers. They have a different language. And so if they're going to program in C or C++ as an engineer, that's the same with the capability with the program manager. He's looking for certain language and lingo to be inside of your capability statement, which is very, very important. Mark, speak to that about understanding the language for a capability statement and what they're looking for.
Sure, and this particular slide here that you've done, I haven't seen this one in a while, and I just want to call attention to it because it's a keyword cloud, and it just really stresses the importance of particular words that you might use within your capability. And so whatever your what your business is involved with, that main keyword there, in this case here, it's language, because of course Cynthia is an expert at speech and understanding and giving presentations, so she really highlights that in her keyword format there, that image or that graphic. So yours as well should do that. And speaking once again, the procurement words, that they are familiar with, because like everybody else, they're busy. They don't want to waste any time, and they want to step in there and be able to very quickly see what you do on that one pager, and then understand and know that you we're going to provide the skills or the supplies or the services that they need and they're seeking. And that's not just the NAICS code, which is also important. When you're working with local and state governments, they may not be as familiar with that. So the keyword functionality and the words that you're using are extremely important.
And another thing I want to say about the capability statement, how relevant it is, all the major corporations now are creating capability statements because they have gotten into the government market. And so even if you're going after commercial business, it's important that you have a government capability statement so that when major corporate giants are looking for partners that are doing business in the government sector, you can be a player in that arena as well. So that's why you would need a capability statement. Bad or no capability statement. Wow. I'm telling you right now, if you have a capability statement that does not speak to what the government is looking for, you're pretty much slamming the door on yourself. It doesn't prove that you understand their lingo. If you send a fancy brochure, a colorful brochure that doesn't exhibit what they're looking for, you can actually slam the door on yourself. You could be going through door number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and none of them work for you. And what I want to say to all of us who work with capability statements, it's not if you win a contract, it's when. Because with the right capability statement, even if you don't win that contract that you're seeking after, a good contracting officer keeps a good capability statement to help match you for further processes, for further bids. They're looking for you. So don't ever think, oh, I'll never win a contract. That's not true. So not having a capability statement really, really can hurt you in the government market. It makes you look weak. It makes you uncredible as a person. You know what it says, first impressions are everything. I'm certainly not saying that it will slam the door on you completely, but it definitely will put you in a position where you're not as viable. You can win less or even no contracts without a capability statement. It's something that you share at industry days. It's a part of what you have. You can send when you send out your all of your different digital platforms. You can have a downloadable capability statement, which is quite important.
Yeah, so I mean, those are nice pictures of really nice doors there, and as well as they look, they're shut though. And the last thing you want to do, you can actually have a capability statement that looks good, and then all of a sudden you go in there and you click on a link that you might have, and it's not secure like it. So it doesn't have the HTTPS, and then a government clicks on it, and they're not able to go to it because their systems are locking them out with all the new security enhancements. So you want to make sure when you have links that the words that you're using, that it doesn't just look good, but it's also it works good and it works
Absolutely.
well, and it opens up the doors that you want to make sure are opened up.
Best practices. You're offering them little to no work to choose you, because if it's a bad one, they're putting it in file 13 because they probably receive 500 to 700 capability statements per bid. So you want to make sure that that door is not closed. You don't look risky. You're impressionable, and that you understand the credibility of what you're trying to do. Let's talk about the different versions. There's several versions of capability statements. As I often say, yes, one simple version, one simple capability statement is good with the right information. However, if you're looking to work with an RFI, which is what? A request for information, or RFP, which is a request for proposal, they're different. The RFI they're just asking you for certain information to lead you to before they put out the bid. But now if they ask you for a request for a proposal, that is a detailed capability statement. So you need to make sure that it's created to meet the specific requirements, and you use specific formats as required. That's very, very important, guys. There are different versions. Again, I like to say to you, the first version is the most important version, and that is one that you carry with you. That's why it's so important when you read over bids and proposals that you understand that whether it's an RFI or RFP, you need to make sure that you are attending all of the meetings leading up to the pre-bid conferencing so that they will know that you understand what version you're looking for and why it's important. Or if it's a sources sought, you might qualify just from your capability statement. Mark, speak to them about a sources sought proposal.
Well, sources are solved. Sometimes it is, just purely a RFI, request for information. But essentially, they're looking to find someone, some entity that can provide a unique product they might be seeking, or anybody who's interested in working with them. So they're looking there, and they're open to opportunities for you, and you need to be able to be ready to go. It doesn't mean that there's actually an actual bid on the street or anything. That they potentially, after that, when they receive that, they could just call you up, do business with you, because you meet a criteria that they're seeking.
Absolutely. And guys, I want you to win, and actually they want you to win because it takes work off of their plate. So let's talk about the some of the different kind of versions. When they say, can you send me your capability statement in some form or another? Well, you need to understand that this is the door opener. If they're requesting that for you, you've done something right. So you need to make sure that you have an overview, a high level overview of your company. I mean, it is hitting right in the center, it's the target. If they're asking for you something special, then you need to make sure that you're giving that. And we're going to get to all the things that you must have in a capability statement. Though sometimes it has to be broad in nature, but it has to have multiple service areas. It's real important that you cover, the right NACE codes, and as many NACE codes as you have the capability to complete. It is important that you're competent in those and they are listed on your capability statement. For when you do a general marketing purposes, make sure that it's a specific version, not so narrow focus. It's very important that if they're asking you for a general one, you understand what the generalities are. They're looking for, let's say they're looking for an IT help desk. Make sure that you have the general information on that. It's very important. If they're asking you for targeted IT information, make sure that that NACE code and those things are targeted to that capability. And of course, we talked about the sources sought capability statement. It's important that, which is really the RFI, that you use the most effective style. You use to address all the specific needs and you understand the specific agencies. And that's why I often share with people, make sure that you note the proper agency that you're going after. Make sure you understand what agency one buys versus agency two. Mark, could you speak to that? Because oftentimes people say, I want to sell to everybody in the government space, but is everyone our target base all the time?
I don't think so. I don't know how you feel exactly about that, but the truth of the matter is, you may, while you're searching, you may want to cast a wide net. But whenever you find that perfect opportunity, that perfect customer, potential customer, you need to make them convinced that you are the right choice for them, the only choice for them. And so they're not also going to reversing that to a wide net. So you got to make sure you're looking. If you're going into the Department of Interior, then you need to speak the language of that particular department. And nowadays, you should be able to take that information and go in and modify it in a quick format and make some differences, and have multiple statements or and sometimes a lot of us as entrepreneurs, so we'll have 2 or 3 things that we do, and then so they might want that each capability statement to speak to that one particular item. I know that Audrey has a question in our box, and she's asked me to make sure we speak to that, but and that's a good point. Always be when you're asking, you're seeking, make sure you call attention to yourself, and that's, I think, always important. But preparing something like a PowerPoint for each agency potentially, or even a short video about your product or your services or supplies that you offer, a demonstration of some sort, and then linking to that from your capability statement or pointing to that on your web. That's what's always important. I think you mentioned this. Don't use that. You can maybe have a Gmail, but not. Make sure it's professional. It's not hotmama@gmail.com. What I'm saying, or something like that. You want to make sure that it speaks to your company and represents your company in the right way, and always and give them access to it so that they can view it, but in an electronic format. and making it easy for them to get quick links to.
Mhm. And yes, Audrey, we will make sure that you have access to view this. In fact, this is going to be on YouTube. So Mark is going to make sure that you get an opportunity to view this again. It'll be posted on YouTube.
Thank you both. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Audrey. We want to see you win. You know, I think GovDirection does this because we are concerned about people winning, and we want to give you the best information, because GovDirections is really an educational center for all of us. I learn something every time I do even this same presentation. So let's talk about the codes and the capability statement. Codes are so important in the capability statement. Your NACE codes. Do you know where to find your NACE codes? You know, in 20, what is it? I think it was last year, 2020, this year, it's still 2021. They went in and updated how to find your NACE codes. It's important that you know and have the correct NACE code that is listed for the government, so that when you list that on your capability statement, they know the agency that you're looking for, understand that's exactly what their need is. We need to understand your PSC codes. They're different than your NACE codes. Your SIC codes are different. Your NIGP codes are different. All your codes are different. Your cage number, your DUNS number, and then all your certifications, whether you're 8A, VSOB, SDVSOB, HubZone, SDB, WBE, whatever certification you have acquired to make yourself stand out, to set yourself apart, to win a contract, it's important that that code is listed, because there are many contracts that are specific to a certain code. And I think the greatest thing about the codes is it brings you closer without a whole lot more work. It puts you in the game. I love it when I see on people's that, you know, that they're veteran-owned small business, or ED, you know, economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business. Those things give you an advantage. So make sure that they're properly listed on your capability statement and they're registered where people can see them. And for goodness sakes, your contract vehicles are very, very important. The schedule, if you're on the GSA schedule, if you are part of an, you know, IDIQ contract vehicle, or 8A stars, I think 8A stars is done now though, isn't it, Mark? I think we have another one now.
I think so, Cynthia. I don't know exactly the title of that, but I do know that also, and you mentioned the DUNS number, but we all have been recently assigned a unique identifier number. Yes. Everybody's moving toward that, so you make sure you include that. And what I would do right now is use both until we fully move over to the other coding system to recognize you. Yes. That just gives them quick access to other information about it.
So it's really important right now that you get all these things organized before we go into the new year. There's going to be a lot of work available in the next couple of months, that's for sure. Let's talk about your core competencies. What are the things that's in your core? You know, what separates you? What are your core? You know, what are your services or products that you offer? Make sure that for your core competencies, you don't have a long paragraphs. Make sure that they're fragmented sentences and not very long narratives. You know, select your key offerings so that it is an easy read. It's pinpoint precision, as we say. Relate your offerings to meet, again, the need of the agency. This is not a place to put a dissertation. It's not a place to have a lot of information, simply because your core competencies, you want them to know, you know, you service high-end janitorial supplies, cleaning blood. You need them to be able to identify this is what you do. You do not want a contracting officer to have to look for your core. What's in your center? Understand that. And particularly, and generally your core competencies, you can even put those not just in bullet points, but you can put them in a frame. You can use them in graphs. Just make it stand out so that people will notice who and what you're doing. Company data. This is so important, friends. You know, what is your company data? How long have you been servicing this product line? And even if you didn't do it with the company, have you done it in corporate America? Have you done it in another entity where you've offered these services? List a brief pertinent history of your company. How many years you've been around? How many years you've done this? The name of your firm, the revenue, the number of your employees. Who are the key individuals and what do they bring to the table? Because, you know, it could be, sometimes people just want to see, do you understand management? Do you understand the methodologies and principles that go along with serving the government contract? It's very important that you list things like your team, your partners, and JV. That shows your strength. You know what your company data is. You know how to sell that better than anyone else. So make sure that that's listed so that the people that are looking for what you have, they understand your company history. Mark, how do you sell GovDirections in terms of your company data?
Well, you know, we've got a little history now.
I
So we've
know.
been here since 1998, so it's been a while. So yeah, so you know, also, you know, when you talk about your company, you know, any kind of testimonials you have, your past performance, making sure that that really speaks to you. I think you talked about some of that. But you know, you round it up. You always speak highly. You know, never let anyone else define who you are. You define who you are. Okay, and that's important.
Absolutely. With humility. Absolutely. You define who you are with humility. So let's talk about your corporate expertise and differentiators. What are you an expert at and what makes you different? This is really important that is listed on your capability statement. So this is a summary of the company's expertise. We say you're the subject matter expert in research or data analysis. Make sure that that is something that separates you. What are your industry certifications that might be important? List your skills and your technical expertise. Those are the things that they're looking for at quick glance. Bonding capabilities, capacity, financial stability. All of those things are very important. Very, very, very important. And then let's talk about your clients and your customers. This is so important. If your client is even Cynthia Harper and it's not Coca-Cola, it's still important that you can sell that you sold Cynthia Harper on the services, on the past performance. What have you done in the past that would make you a viable candidate in the future or in the present for what they're looking for? List your clients and your customers and all the work that you've done. Select your largest clients next. You know, make sure you include the right reference, names and numbers, contact information, project size, and all those things so that you're meeting the contracting officers or the decision maker in person's need. Again, we can't sell that. We can't sell that enough. And I think as we close out, we need to talk about the contact information. Please list properly. Have all the data updated. As Mark said, make sure there's a proper email where it's not sexymama@gmail.com. Make sure that your contact information, your numbers are current. They're not disconnected. You'd be surprised how many people upgrade, move to another place and never change out the company data, the contact information. So it's real important that you have these things listed on your capability statement so that you can win that contract or be considered in the future. Make sure the point of contact is correct. Even if the point of contact isn't an admin person, please list that correctly. And for your address, never use a post office box. I want to point that out. It's very important that we don't use a post office box. You have the right phone number, the right fax, the right website address, and the right professional and personal email address. Mark, anything else you want to talk about on that?
Well, I think you have done an excellent job as usual. And I just always point out, you know, how well you do at branding. Branding itself is so important, making sure that the color scheme is all the same. That when they look and see what anything I look at for C Harper Enterprises, when I look at it, I know it's Cynthia's. It carries the same, it carries that exuberance that she has that she's doing right here. And I would, you know, you can make sure in this case here, she hasn't given you the contact information, how you can contact her, but we have it here at GovDirections. And if you reach out to us at any time, we will make sure you get in contact with her directly. And I do apologize, we had a little bit of the snafu with our own linking system, and that's why we have somewhat of a limited audience, but a lot of folks are on YouTube Live with us, and we'll be sending this out, but we're going to reschedule too, and have another live version, because I think people really like to ask questions. And I know we had some 30 plus reserve today to get access to you and to ask you some questions today. So we want to make sure that happens. So we'll reschedule and kick off the new year in the right way. But I want to thank you for once again tuning in with us, and for Cynthia for helping us. And if you do have a question for her, give us a call and we'll get you in touch with her. Thank you. Have a Merry Christmas.
You too.